everything we're doing is based on the assumption you're playing against people that are same level as you. Now, which brings us to what this video is about. How do you know what level somebody is? You can't know that unless, so you have to know what level you are. Now, we've talked about the technical, tactical, mental, physical, how you play, how your partner plays, how your opponent plays. I want to focus a lot more on the technical side of things, because when you're doing your inventory, that's usually the biggest thing that you need to focus on. And it spans out into a lot of things. How well do you hit the ball? How fast do you hit your forehand? Because your strategy is mainly going to be based on that. If, for example, I'm just throwing out numbers here. If you cannot hit your forehand from the baseline past 30 miles per hour, going to the net player is out of the question. That is not going to be part of your strategy. You actually have to be very accurate if that's the case, as opposed to somebody who hits the ball really hard. If you hit the ball really hard, it doesn't really matter where you hit it. Again, if you're playing against somebody who's same level as you. If you're playing against somebody that's a lot better than you, what your fastest speed is could be very slow for them. But if everybody's same level, if you can hit the ball a little faster than the average person in your group, then you can get away with just hitting the ball anyway. But for those that hit the ball really slow, then you absolutely need to be accurate. You have to avoid the net player if you're hitting the ball at 30 miles per hour as opposed to somebody who hits the ball at 60 miles per hour. So that's what I mean. This is what you want to do with the inventory. So you look at your forehand. How much spin can you put on the ball? How fast can you hit the ball? How deep can you hit the ball? Can you make the ball deep and bounce in the middle of the service box from behind the baseline? Do you have underspin on the ball? Can you hit a lob? Can you hit angle, cross court? Can you hit down the line? Can you hit a drop shot? Like, these are the things that you need to know and get a good feel before you actually start implementing any strategies. And the same goes with your backhand. And if you cannot hit overheads and volleys, then probably your strategy will be stay at the back. Do not come up to the net that much. And if you do not know very clearly what level you play, the whole thing is going to go down the toilet. It's not going to make any sense. You need to get a rough idea. You need to get some kind of a scale. After playing for about 10-15 minutes on the court, you should have a rough idea what level you are playing that day. And I'm talking that very day, not last week, not 3 months ago, your strategy is going to be based on that. If you've been playing tennis for about 10 minutes, if somebody stops you and say, hey, 1 out of 10, where are you today? You should know immediately. You should answer that with no hesitation. If you're having to think and guess like, oh, I could be 6, maybe 4, then we have a problem already, because all your strategy is going to be based on that. So if you don't know where you are, it's going to be very difficult for you to make this kind of decisions when the ball comes, because that's when indecision comes in. So way before that ball even comes, 2 minutes before that high ball even comes, I already know what kind of shot I'm going to hit. I already know I'm either going to hit a swing and volley, or I'm going to hit a regular volley, or I'm going to run backwards and hit it. Does that make sense? If I'm playing a match, and remember, I know what level I'm playing right at the beginning, like 10-15 minutes into it. So when a ball is coming towards me in the air, I don't have to decide as the ball is coming. I've already kind of made up my mind. And to give you a rough idea, this is the method that I use. I'm at the baseline here. If I'm playing, let's say if I'm playing like a 4, I'm hanging back here and hopefully let my partner cover the front court. So anytime the high ball comes, I always let it bounce, run in the back of the fence, and just hit a lob. That's if I'm playing like a 4. So if I'm playing like a 4, I hit a lob. If I'm playing like a 5, I would stay same kind of area, but this time I'll kind of swing at the ball and hit away from the net player if I'm playing like a 5. If I'm playing like a 6, I should be able to hit a volley. I should be able to stand on the baseline. If I see that high ball coming again, I should be able to take it out of the air, hit a regular volley. Hit a regular volley, hit that ball, and kind of come up towards the service line. That's when I'm playing like a 6. So that's a regular volley. Okay, if I'm playing like a 7, I should be able to swing at it if I'm playing like a 7. And this is the key thing. If you make a wrong assessment, say you're not playing like a 7 and you think you're playing like a 7. If you're swinging it, you're gonna be missing it. But if you really are playing like a 7, then it should work. All right, so if you are a 7, you should stand kind of close to the baseline, and you can swing at the ball, but towards the middle of the court at 3/4 pace, not your hardest. All right, if you're playing like, so 7 is swing and volley. If you're playing like an 8, the same thing, I'll hit the ball a little bit harder and I'll go a little bit closer to the lines. That's when I'm playing like an 8. I don't really have strategy for playing like a 9 or a 10, because that rarely happens. That happens less than 10% of the time. Because if you're having that great a day, it literally does not matter what you do. You can do everything wrong if you're feeling like a 9 and still win the match. Like you can play left hand, like we're not even going to talk about that. It really doesn't matter what you do, because you're going to win the match anyway. Again, assuming that you're playing against people that are same level as you. So we're not going to go way past that, or we're not going to have strategy for days when you're playing like a 9. Like literally anything you do is pretty much going to work. So that's kind of the strategy based on how you're playing. What else is a factor? Let me see if somebody can kind of guess. I don't know if somebody got it. The game score. Depends what the score is. It depends what the set score is. It depends what the game score is. So let's say I'm playing like a 7. I'm not going to take that much of a chance if that is break point, or if that is set point, or say that is match point. The only adjustment I'll make if I'm playing like a 7, instead of going closer to the edges and hitting as hard as I can, I would go more towards the middle and go a little bit slower. That's the only adjustment I'll make. So I'm not completely changing my game. I'm not pushing it. The game score does not just creep up on you. You're aware of what's happening. So I'm not making a decision as the ball in the air and then all of a sudden I'm thinking, oh, it's 40-30. Oh, no, I already know that before the point started. I know that. So now we're moving on to the next thing, which is the physical fitness. Now, obviously, how fast you run heavily affects your strategy. If you move very fast and you can last very long on the court, and you're very athletic and you can run and very flexible, like you can do all those things, then you can get away playing at the baseline, for example, because you're doing a lot of running when you're back there. Again, assuming that you're playing against people that are same level as you, if you play at the baseline, you have to work 3 times as hard. Now, if it's a lot easier for you, you're probably playing people that are way below your level. If it's same level as you, you are going to be doing 3 times as much work. For whatever reason, you cannot run. Whether you sprained an ankle or anything, you can fill in whatever reason you want. If you cannot run, you gotta come up to the net. If you hang back, you have to do a lot more running. When you come closer, you're doing a lot less running because you're covering a lot of those angles. And I've done this exercise with a lot of my students. I would stand literally right in the middle of the service box, and I would rally with somebody from the baseline here, and I would not take more than 2 steps for about 95% of the balls. Just by standing here, I can cover literally everything. And if they try to lob, I just take 1 step. I can hit that lob from the service. I'm 5'8". If I take more than 1 step, that ball is going out. If I take more than 1 step, they have to hit one of those really, really high lobs, which defeats the purpose, because then I have plenty of time to move as slowly as I want to and get to the ball. One of the aspects that's missing from the 4 is now the mental side of things. If your technique is good and you're employing the right strategy based on your technique and your physical attributes, this becomes really easy, because if those 3 things are working, usually you don't have any issues with the mental side of things, because that's where you get the confidence from. So once we have those things working, then the mental side of things kind of comes together. And to build that confidence, you got to do the other 3 things well. And if you do that, then the mental side of things kind of come. And then put that all together and then come up with a number. So it's not just how well you're hitting your forehand. It's everything. It's your forehand, backhand, volleys, serves, your footwork, your mental clarity. Because if you're not focused, unfortunately, you will not be able to play good doubles. Like doubles, you need to be engaged. You need to be aware of what's going on. I think that's about it. That covers everything. And I'll touch on the next one in the next episode, which is talking about your partner and your opponent.